changed. So imagine you're living your normal life here in Brighton, and there's a war, and your side loses, and people come in from the winning side, and maybe they say, well, we have blue eyes, and we don't like people with brown eyes because they've always been problems. So if you have brown eyes, you can't live where you live right now. You got to go somewhere else. So we set aside an area for you. Maybe it's like between Market Street and Arlington Street. There's an area once walled off. I mean, it was that weird and that strange as like I mean, my parents came from this town here. Actually, it was a city with 60,000 people. So it was a town called Grodno. It was part of Poland at the time. Traditionally, this is Lithuania, but there was no Lithuania at the time. So Grodno was part of Poland. But the war with Poland, Germany attacked Poland on September 1st, 1939. The war was over very quickly. So these, when the Nazis would come into towns, they would set up what I described earlier to you, where you set up an area and you say, okay, if you have brown eyes, or if you're Jewish, you got to go live in this area, say between Market Street and Arlington Street. So these are what they were called were ghettos. It's basically an enclosed area. So there was a ghetto in Grodno, and my parents had less than a day to pack up their stuff, whatever they could carry, and they had to move into the ghetto. The goal of that was to put the Jews in a place where they could be easily counted and commanded, and eventually, the Germans organized transports via the trains to go to concentration camps, where ultimately people would die. Either from starvation or if they weren't deemed useful for the war effort, they were killed right away. But anyway, so probably there are millions of Jews living in these towns here, and they were all rounded up and put into these enclosed areas, not knowing what was coming. So. This major deportations to extermination camps. There are a number of camps that the Nazis set up throughout Europe. The most infamous is Auschwitz, which was a labor camp as well as a killing camp. I had some relatives who were shipped to Auschwitz. I think most went to Treblinka because my parents' town was about here, so it was closer to go to Treblinka, and that was another killing. But in this whole area, there was one in Germany, Theresienstadt. But the big ones were Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec. And I mean, you think about it now, it's like, what were these guys thinking? How could you just come into a city and set up killing camps and ship people there? But as you'll see, genocide is occurring even now. If you look at what's going on in Syria right now, and what has gone on in the Sudan, in Darfur, in Africa, unfortunately, we as human beings sometimes do horrible things.
Hello. We will be providing you with information about a genocide other than the Holocaust.
Yes, we will be telling you about the genocide of the Kurds in Iraq.
It occurred in the late 1980s.
The Iraqi government killed off about 100,000 Kurds who come from Kurdistan.
It was a terrible tragedy.
Many Kurds were forced to fight in the Iraqi army.
As you can see, there have been other genocides other than the Holocaust.
Even though this genocide happened a while ago, it has left a great impact on the world.
That's why it's important for you to do your part and to prevent this from happening.
Thank you for listening.